Fire away.
How's linebacker position looking?
Linebackers, pretty well. I think we've, getting a top echelon of guys that feel pretty good about, really understanding what we're doing, running around pretty good. And so I feel like there's 4 or 5 guys right now I think we could put in a game, or probably will play in a game, and without a lot of drop off. So I feel like they're taking hold of some of the leadership that we need on defense, and particularly Cornell Wheeler's doing a really good job in that area. So kind of as the Mike linebacker centerpiece, doing a good job. So one thing we always try to do with linebackers also is to make guys dual position, dual trained guys. So I think there's a lot of kind of cross training going on, which kind of a work in progress. But at some point, when through injuries or whatever, you're gonna need it. So they're doing a good job.
Jeff was just in here talking about the sort of the second group of guys beyond the more experienced vets that you have needing to take a step still. Do you have the same thing on defense?
Yeah, in some respects, I think there's guys that are. I think particularly some in the defensive line. I think there's some guys that are really starting to, put themselves in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Harrell's doing a really good job, for example, in that area. Guys like DJ Warner, freshman, is starting to pick it up. I think he's, pretty far ahead, in terms of what a lot of freshmen might know. He's done a lot of work throughout the summer, extra time, putting in some time. So I think some of those things are coming together for him. And on the back end, same thing. Damaris McGee's done a really good job, where you feel like you can count on him. He's stayed healthy. So I think there are some guys. I don't know if it's completely where you'd want it yet, but I do feel like we're developing some quality depth that we can move forward with.
Have there been any big surprises for you during camp on defense?
Big surprises. I think guys like DJ Withers have really asserted themselves. So, he played a lot last year, and he played some the year before. So, I thought he was going to be a good player, but he really seems to, in my mind, have taken certain things to the next level, where like he's legitimately hard to block, and seeing things quickly and reacting quickly, and the strength and the weight have continued to develop for him. So he's really put himself into a good position. So he'd be like one guy I could say. There might be more, but he's a guy that kind of jumps off to me right away.
Last time we talked to you, you highlighted the 3 primary areas where you want the defense to improve this season, with the run defense, the red zone, and the 3rd and long. I'm just wondering, obviously you won't know fully until you get into the season, but how do you feel like the defense is progressing toward being able to handle those areas better?
We track explosive runs every day, which are 10-yard plus runs, and for the most part, we've held that number down pretty good. So I feel like we're certainly understanding the defense and the run fits accordingly well, and really trying to keep playing downhill in those areas. Our 3rd down defense, it's we had some today, a little period out there today, which I thought was pretty good. Asking guys to, those are some calls and some 3rd down and pass stuff where you don't get a lot of practice time at some of that. So today was one of those days, and I thought for the newness at which we put some things in, and the way that guys executed today was pretty good. Red zone, still it's kind of a give and take. Still kind of have our moments, and then sometimes don't. So I think I don't know that any of those areas are perfect. I feel pretty good about our ability to stop people in run game. I think if we can get people to some 3rd and passing situations, we've got some good players, good skilled players, and good enough scheme to make things happen there. Red zone, we got to keep going. Trying to do some different things, not just do the same things as we always have done. Trying to be a little bit more aggressive down there sometimes in ways that we can, and I feel like we're having a little success with that. So maybe that's something we're learning as camp goes along.
Lance gave a little love to Tristan Fletcher the other day. I wonder where that's coming from, and do you see the same sort of praise that he deserves?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It was put to him bluntly last spring about what he needed to do if he really wanted to be a factor in the team, and he, to his credit, he took that in the right way and has worked hard. What I really like about him is that he is a great communicator. Not everybody on defense is a really good communicator, which is something that we all need to be able to do there. But he's a guy that really he communicates as well as anybody we have on defense, quite honestly, when he's out there. So, and he's been playing fast and being decisive about certain things and kind of just showing up and making some plays where probably going into this year, he might have been on the outside looking in a little bit at some things. I think he's at least he's in that upper echelon of guys right now, to his credit.
Going off of that, seems like we've heard about a lot of guys who have responded to challenges issued to them in the spring. And just with that in mind, I mean, what do you think it takes for a player to respond well over the summer? What does a player need to do when they get something like that to put themselves in?
Yeah, a lot of it to me is taking to heart what's been said, what they've been told, and again, we try to be as honest as we can and sometimes blunt as we can. And if you really want to play, these are the things that need to happen. So I don't know, I just feel like sometimes those words click to a guy when he gets, sometimes it has to be, they gotta be old enough and mature enough to get it, because you're either gonna fight it and make excuses and drag your feet on things, or you're gonna say okay and do it. So I think it just, like Tristan, it just gets to a point of where, okay, I get it. This is what I need to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm gonna work in the ways I need to work. I'm gonna do the extra things I need to do to put myself in a position to hopefully make good on the opportunities that I get.
Can experienced offensive players actually help you guys in that they can relay to your guys, here's what I saw, here's why we beat you on this one, or make sure you don't?
Yeah, maybe they can. I don't ask them, and they don't tell me. But maybe they do some of that in the locker room. That's an interesting question. I guess I haven't really pondered that one very much. But I do talk to our offensive coaches sometimes, and hey, what do you think we're doing good? What's really hard for you? And so I think that feedback is helpful for sure. And I don't know if I ask players too much about that, but coaches for sure.
For some of the younger players, is it a little bit of a crash course in terms of going up against the offense that you guys have with all the motions and sort of?
Yeah, it's a crash course for me going up against our offense every day. So I think for however, I can't imagine being in some of their shoes. And we can say what we want. I think that's part of the personality of our offense is to do those things. So yeah, it takes a while to learn all the little nuance adjustments and checks and things on defense to the myriad of formations that you see, and maybe knowing them in a meeting room when the coach is on the board or it's on the film. That's one thing, but quite honestly, going out there and having to do it in a rapid pace is really difficult. So I do give our guys credit because they're hanging in there with that stuff, and every day there's just more. So good luck to our opponents trying to figure that out in 2 or 3 days. But that's just part of it, and that's what we kind of have to live through and work through. And at the end of the day, it'll help us, because I don't know that we're going to see anything. I can't imagine we're going to see anything from anybody else that we wouldn't have already seen in some way, shape, or form from our own guys. So
You talked about the conversations at the end of spring. What was the conversation like with Caleb Taylor at the end of spring, and how do you feel like he responded?
Caleb, I thought Caleb really had a good spring. So to me, his conversation would have been pretty positive. Hey, you're on a good track right now. This is the direction we need to keep going. I don't really think that we needed to tell Caleb that. I think he already knew that because he had he had really already made some good changes, and where just being totally locked in and focused on a daily basis, and not having kind of the ebb and flow of, hey, I'm really locked in and now I'm not so much. I think he made up his mind he was going to be a certain way, and so for him it was just, we've noticed your improvement in these ways. Hey, keep going, right? Keep going. And he's had a good fall this fall as well.
Anything else for Coach? Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Brian.